Hey guys, welcome back to Statchat Sports. You're here with Steve and Tazza on the line. We're here to talk about the Champions League final today as a wrap up for the football season. Tazza, we've had a day to sort of go through and digest what we witnessed, and it wasn't what we were looking for.
Yeah, I think we needed 24 hours to really mull it over and come to terms with just a man mountain just stopped us in our tracks, I think. It wasn't a bad game played by Liverpool, but Madrid, they were good value, definitely. But I think Liverpool had the lion's share of possession and the chances, and it was just Thibaut Courtois just really having a match for the ages, with the best goalkeeping effort we've seen in about 20 years in the Champions League, and he brings home number 14 for Real Madrid.
You mentioned chances, 23 total attempts to 3 between the two sides. Liverpool had a dominant early spell. Actually, probably a dominant first half. Really, a Mane chance to hit the post after a save from Courtois. There's ample others in there, and besides the goal that was ruled offside through VAR, which was a bit of a confusing one for me at the time. Real Madrid really didn't have anything in that first half. They were almost like conceded to the fact that Liverpool were on top and on the front foot throughout that whole first half. I don't know whether that was maybe part of the game plan, sort of let's soak up some pressure and let's sort of take it to them in second half. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say they even did that. They didn't necessarily take it to Liverpool in the second half, but they took the chance that came to them, and that was enough in the end, really.
Yeah. There was the Salah chance as well in the second half that Courtois just managed to get half an arm to. Yeah, I mean, in the end, it was just Madrid taking their chances, and it was a bit of sloppy. Yeah, well, it's kind of sloppy, but I mean, it wasn't the worst if any you've ever seen from Alexander Arnold, but for Vinicius really just was probably a toe one side with that goal. He played it perfectly. All credit to him. It was a nice little move, but completely against the run of play. That was the most frustrating part. Is at that point, Liverpool had continued their first half dominance, and they looked the more likely to score, and they never did. And so now we're looking at 3 cup finals for Liverpool and no goals scored in say an open play and no goals at all.
Yeah, that's a bit of a worrying sign when you look at it that way. It's not at all what you'd expect from this Liverpool side, especially given the dominance that they had in this particular final. Not as many chances in the 2 against Chelsea in the domestic cups, but yeah, to score no goals over the 3, doesn't make for good viewing, and it leaves a lot of open doors for fans of rival clubs to take the piss a little bit, which they all have, which is all fine. You've got to expect it. But I mean, let's just go to pre-game. This game was postponed half an hour because of antics happening outside the ground. This sort of, I mean, look, has nothing to do with the result of the game. This affected absolutely nothing in terms of this, but just the whole organisation of the event just seemed to be an absolute shitfest. Like, the game was postponed 35 minutes thereabouts because what UEFA explained as, fans getting into the stadium. Yes, that was only true. That was true, but that was only part of the truth. I mean, feel free to come into more detail, but I mean, they had one, from what I heard, they had one gate open into the stadium. I don't know if that was just for the Liverpool fans to come in, because obviously the stands are split, and they're funneling all of these fans in, proper ticket holders to this game, waiting like 45 to an hour to get into the ground before kickoff was even supposed to happen. And then the security and the Paris police are starting to throw tear gas and all this sort of stuff at the fans to keep them at bay because they're getting rowdy because they're not led into the stands.
Yeah. Oh, it's an absolute recipe for disaster. I mean, what these people have paid top dollar to get to an occasion like this. Most have travelled. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity for these people, and they're being shafted. Really, it was just a shambles of just the whole organisation of the event. Really, I mean, clearly the provisions weren't made from what it looks like from our view. The provisions weren't made to facilitate that many people getting into the ground. Yeah, and the use of the tear gas and pepper spray. I mean, that's reserved for rioting. It's not. It just seems ridiculous, and it looks at the moment like UEFA are really covering up what's really going on. There seems to be a bit of just hush hush, push it into the corner, throw a rug over it. Let's not worry about it. It's been and gone, and it's quite ridiculous, to be honest. I think a lot of teams are saying, oh yeah, sorry, a lot of other fans are saying that the Liverpool fans, super rowdy, rah, 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 and I think that's pretty far from the truth.
I think so as well. Like, I think the Liverpool fans were in their tens of thousands in Paris. I know that for facts, but like, in terms of the general behavior of the fans, I think it's pretty good. They have their celebrations. Many of them have been there since early mornings to start the celebrations of the day, and then they want to end it with the game. And the frustrations from these fans would have come from the fact that they just weren't getting into the grounds. But never do I think that it ever would have started to a point where they would have started to cause a riot or anything like that to make a point, to the point where they needed to be pepper sprayed and tear gassed to calm them down. Like, I know sort of non-ticket holders were sort of jumping the fence and trying to get in that way. And, I don't know if that maybe kick-started things a little bit, but just all wrong from the organisation's point of view. And I mean, it'd be the same way for any team, but Liverpool in particular, they've been in this situation before and it ended in disaster. Luckily, I suppose these days it's maybe a little bit better organised, but it was going down that path, really.
Yeah. Yeah, oh, for sure. It was just an awful organisation, and I need to take a lot of learnings out of this and hope that this doesn't happen again because, yeah, it's they've got no one to blame but themselves. I mean, they're right to be frustrated. They weren't being overly aggressive, but they were just letting the powers that be know that it wasn't good enough. And I mean, they shouldn't have to sit there and wait all that time just to get in. I mean, they want to soak up the atmosphere. They want to get in, and they've been denied that liberty and that right that they've paid for by purchasing the ticket to be able to enjoy the whole experience.
So, yeah, 30. I believe it was about 35 minutes in the end delay. Both teams ended up coming out for a second warm up. I don't think that doesn't change anything in the effect and the outcome of the game, not at all.
No.
But I mean, I've seen an interview with
teams.
Yeah, exactly right. I've seen an interview with Andy Robertson after the game talking about it. And I mean, I think the fans would, the players would just be just as upset as the fans because, they're the lifeline of the club, the supporters. So they would have wanted them to be there just as much as the supporters would have wanted to be there. So, yeah, not ideal.
Yeah, I mean, Liverpool's a club that feeds off its support. So, I mean, we only have to look back to the COVID, the months where they had no supporters at Anfield and just how much that affected Liverpool's performances. They obviously feed off a crowd. So, yeah, Robbo would definitely have wanted the fans around.
So just going back to the game, a few weeks ago on our standard Premier League podcast, I mean, we mentioned that obviously Liverpool were in the runnings for a quadruple. And this, I think this was just after they'd won the FA Cup, so they were 2 trophies down. And I asked the question whether the season ends, come the season end, if Liverpool had 2 trophies and 2 trophies only, being 2 domestic cups, whether that would be sort of considered a successful season given the position they were in. Obviously, lost the Premier League on the final day, and they obviously lost the Champions League here. That is the case here. 2 trophies, the 2 domestic cups. Can this be considered a successful season, or not necessarily a successful season because you won 2 trophies, but is it a good season for them? Basically, is what I'm asking.
I'm an R about this one a fair bit. I mean, it's 2 trophies that have eluded Klopp probably in the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup. But obviously, he's got his set now, basically, if you look at it from there. But you look at the prestige of this team and where the team's at. I wouldn't call it a failure, but I wouldn't call it a success. It's somewhere in the middle. I think it's not bad. You move on, you take it. And considering where they were, I mean, and the manner in how they've lost, especially like the Champions League final, the way they lost it. And yeah, they've won the domestic cups and penalties, but it was just, I don't think it was through lack of effort, but I keep coming back to it. But 3 cup finals and not a goal scored. You look at it that way, and I feel like it's a flat ending to the season. It just feels really flat. I mean, look at the season as a whole: 2 trophies, a final, another cup final, and second in the league. Lost it. Well, you didn't lose it, but almost won it on the last day. Depends which way you paint it, but I think it's so hard to call. You look at it from the point you won 2 trophies, you can hardly call that a failure. So it's probably a good season.
Yeah, I think I agree. Given the position that they were in, a quadruple would have been the best case. And I think it's purely because of that. That's the reason why I think a lot of people would look back on their season and say, yeah, maybe it's not the best season. But I think any team would still take 2 trophies. I think any team would still take a trophy. So yeah, if you look at it that way, it can't be. It's not the end of the world. They're not the 2 trophies that I think at the start of the season Liverpool would have been aiming to win. If you could give them the choice of 2 come the end of the season, but yeah, look, it's done now. So I'll take them. Players have had their celebration with the fans. More fans turned out for a team winning 2 domestic cups over a team that won the Premier League. But we won't go there. So just a little bit of cheeky dig. But yeah, look, Liverpool fans have been getting plenty of stick over the last 24 hours because of what's unfolded. So good to give a little bit back.
Yeah, all things considered, it wasn't a bad effort from Liverpool. I mean, they dominated 80% of that game. I think that's the part. Yeah, they lost, but they lost to it's Real Madrid. It's not the best form of Real Madrid that we've seen, but it's Real Madrid nonetheless. I mean, led by Ancelotti, who's just a master. He'll go down as one of the best managers to ever have done it. I mean, the stats don't lie. I mean, Courtois, it's the most saves in a Champions League final since 2003, 2004. Is that? I mean, Courtois by the 20-minute mark of that Champions League final when he made the save on Sadio Mane. At that point, he had the most saves in a Champions League campaign for was it since 2012? It was just a huge effort. So But they didn't lose to. They didn't go and lose to some rabble of a team. It was just met by a beast of a performance. So I can't buy into all the shit talking, because I mean, all the other teams, I don't know where they were, but I mean, Liverpool put up a fair effort.
No, that's a fair call, mate. Let's stay with Real Madrid for a quick second. Another topic we spoke about a few weeks ago was the Ballon d'Or. Does this give Karim Benzema the Ballon d'Or?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I mean, they won the league, they won the Champions League, so they've done what every club sets out to do, really. Yeah. And he's been the main man for most of it, in both competitions. So I don't know how you can argue against it, really. The trophies are there, the stats are there. Sometimes the trophies can outweigh the stats. We've seen it with Jorginho polling quite well. But yeah, I mean, trophy stats, put it together, and you can't argue against it. It's I haven't looked at the odds, but I'd be quite confident in chucking a fair bit on it if they're juicy enough.
Yeah, I agree. He deserves it. Absolutely. You can't really make an argument now or anyone else. I don't think. Like, I couldn't, like, even being Liverpool fans, I couldn't even give a solid enough dispute to give it to Salah. Not after that. There, had they won, different story, I think. But that's not what had played out. So yeah, I'm not surprised if we see him lift it in whenever the ceremony is held. So credit to him if he gets it done. So
it's with all the days of Cristiano Ronaldo's domination, I never thought we'd say it. Never thought Benzema was just a bridesmaid. He was just the sidekick. And as much as it pains me that Liverpool have lost to Real Madrid, it is nice to see Benzema get that recognition. He's right up there in every stat in Real Madrid's history. That's the craziest thing. He's just always been the sidekick, but you put him up there and he's right there near the top. So he's never got the credit he deserves, and it'd be good to get him. Good to see him get it.
Absolutely agree, mate. A little bit of news out of Liverpool's camp after this Champions League final. It was rumored the rumors started to appear before the final, but a decision wasn't to be made until afterwards. Sadio Mane, it looks pretty certain that he's going to depart from the club after, what would it be? When did he? It would be probably around,
I think,
6 or 7 years maybe at the club.
I think it's 6 years. Yeah.
So a proper stint at the club. He's won literally everything that he can now. So he leaves. I think he leaves a firm. He leaves as a firm Liverpool legend. I think. Kind of caught me by surprise, I must admit. Didn't really expect him to move on, but if it's done by mutual consent, he wants a challenge somewhere else. Bayern Munich are the reported front runners. Then all the best to him. We'll have to wait and see what happens. Historically, when players have left Liverpool, it hasn't really worked out for him. But I don't see that being the case here. I think no matter where he goes, he's going to be a star. But yes, sort of caught a bit off guard, I think, for me.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to follow Leroy Sané. I mean, different roles. Mane obviously had a crucial role in the team. Sané was a bit of a not a bench warmer, but a bit part player. So it's not a done deal, but it looks as if Bayern Munich are the clear front runners, and Mane wants to go. But yeah, I mean, we look back to Wijnaldum, and that's been a bit of a disaster over there. And I'm sure if he could have his time again, he'd want to come back. But like you said, I think Mane, wherever he goes, he's shown that he's got the talent, he's got what it takes. And I don't think he's a player that benefits from the Liverpool system. I think he'll play well wherever he goes. And yeah, after 6 years, like you said, he will go down as a legend. He has to. I think just about that whole squad that won the Premier League, they're gonna they're all immortalised. Even Divock Origi, who's another one who's pretty much on his way out the door.
Yeah,
he's a cult figure. He'll be linked with not linked as in playing with the club, but for the next 20, 30 years, he'll be linked with the club. I'm sure he'll make appearances. He'll be showing up at the Liverpool Legends games. And the chant, the Divock Origi chants they'll ring out still, and I can't wait because he's been a great player for the club.
Mane leaves a big hole, even with Luis Diaz coming in January and fitting seamlessly into the side. You're leaving a big figure there. We spoke a little bit off air, but we feel like a big signing in that front three needs to be made to fill that gap.
Yeah. There's a couple out there. One of the stranger ones that's been linked, and we've sort of discussed it a little bit, and is Harry Kane.
Yeah.
I don't know if that I don't know if that materializes as much as I'd love to see it, because he's in his prime, and I think if Tottenham had missed out on the Champions League, he's right for the picking. But I even saw a link to Heung-min Son as well. If they missed out, that Liverpool would have been in for him. So, I would take any of those two in a heartbeat. But I think the most realistic one would be he's been more linked with United in the past, is Darwin Nunez. So the Benfica attacker, I think he would be a real good pick. Obviously, we spoke about it, but he'd have to put his Portuguese allegiances aside for a second, given that he played for Diaz's former the rival of Diaz's former team, Porto. But I'm sure they can unite for a common good and come together. It would be a huge addition.
Yeah, he would be my pick if I could choose as well. I think Klopp's a big fan of him. And the games when Benfica played Liverpool in the Champions League, he could have had a hat-trick at Anfield. Probably should have, if not for an Alisson masterclass. So, he's sort of proved himself enough there for me as it is. And I think before City signed Haaland, his name was thrown around for them as well. So he's highly sought after. He won't come cheap, but I think Liverpool are smart with their money. Whatever they get for Mane, which is reported to be relatively cheap considering the caliber of player, but they'll invest that wisely. I don't doubt, but he would certainly be my pick, I think.
Yeah, and looking at City, the reinforcements that they're making. They've gone and won the league, and they're bringing in the best young striker in the world. You call whether you call that Mbappe or you call that Haaland. He's one of. And there was the Argentinian bloke as well.
From River Plate. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. Julian, is it Julian someone? I can't. The name escapes me. It begins with an A, and he just banged in 6 goals in one game.
Julian Alvarez?
Is that Alvarez, that's it. Yep, nailed it. Yep, Julian Alvarez. He banged in 6 goals for River Plate there. So, if they want to be serious and if they want to wrestle this title back, they have to make a big signing, and they have to go out and spend big. No more. I can't say no more money grabbing from FSG, because they have been willing to spend the money. But if they want to be serious, there needs to be a big spend. There needs to be a big spend in midfield to replace a somewhat aging Hendo and obviously Thiago. They're both the wrong side of 30. And we're going to need that extra attacker, losing 2 of them there. Gone are the days where, Liverpool played 63 games this year. Gone are the days where a tight squad gets you over the line and You can rotation is so necessary these days. There's more and more games being added to the calendar, so there has to be at least one, if not two signings, big signings, and then a couple of squad depth signings, I think, to round it out.
Yeah, I think they need a window like a few years ago when they brought Alisson, Fabinho, and those sorts of players all in the same window. They did that. They won the Champions League. No, I 100% agree. If they want to stay in the tussle with City, they need to make some big marquee signings just to keep pace with them. Otherwise, they're just going to take off.
Yeah, I mean, they don't look like stopping. That's the thing. City don't look like they're about to fall apart. They don't look like they're an aging squad. There's plenty of young guys in that team and plenty of young guys coming into that team to keep them going. I mean, they've got some of the best young talent in the world sitting there. So if Liverpool don't do it, then you might as well write City's name on the trophy for next year too.
All right. I think we can end it there. You got anything else that you want to add?
No.
All right, cool. We'll just end it there.
Yep.
So that's going to end it, mate. Last podcast for the season for us. We'll come back next season from the start of the season, bigger and better, and we'll have to see sort of what it brings for us there. But we appreciate you all for joining. Let us know any thoughts on the topics spoken about today. And until next time, we'll see you then.